Hello race fans and welcome to a brand new season of the Apex Racing League GT Trophy, live here from the Autodromo Nazionale Monza. My name is Peter Mackay and joining me in the Apex Racing TV commentary box tonight is Sam Fitzpatrick, and bringing you the wonderful SDK graphics and images of Monza is Dennis Branch in our production booth. Sam, we've just signed off an absolute stormer of an ARL GT season which uses the GTE machines. This series uses their cousin, the GT3, and I tell you what I was quite glad to see was a few familiar names from ARL GT coming to have a go at the trophy.
Yeah, this one has really attracted a high quality of drivers, lots of drivers, in fact, of all different caliber of racing. It should be an absolutely immense 9-round season. We've got 60 drivers signed up. We've got 55 drivers entering this opening round of the season. And so this is going to be an indication of what we're going to be in for the rest of the championship. I'm really looking forward to this. We are going to have our work cut out to keep up with everything tonight.
That we are, and we're going to be, well, the drivers are going to have a lot to keep up with because we're here at the Temple of Speed, Monza, opened in 1922 as Italy's answer to Indianapolis in the United States and Brooklands in the United Kingdom. It is a proper speed bowl, so the drivers will have their cars absolutely trimmed out as best as they can, running in low downforce trim as wherever possible. And the draft is certainly going to play a factor here at Monza. And this is actually where one major racing dynasty really was born, where a young Aldo and his brother Mario Andretti came to the 1954 Italian Grand Prix at Monza. At that point, in the words of Mario, he said the die was cast. At that point, there was no other career choice for them.
Exactly. Yeah, this place is absolutely immense. And I think I say it a lot about the GT3 cars. I say, oh, this circuit's so good for GT3 cars. Oh no, I feel like these cars look at home around this place more than really any others. Of course, this place is, I think, on the Blancpain schedule. I certainly remember some pretty epic GT3 races on iRacing around this place. So yeah, should be a good host. As got 8 minutes of qualifying remaining. 4 laps the drivers can set in this qualifying session, so you get your out lap and then you get 4 more laps. And it's a little bit of a tricky decision for the drivers because I believe, at least, I'm sure we'll learn this as the season goes on, Peter, and you may know more than me, but I believe the tyres kind of peak on lap 1 or 2, and so you don't really want to do those 4 laps consecutively. It might be better to actually ditch one of your laps, sacrifice one of your laps to actually get a fresh set of tyres, and then go for one last attempt.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see, especially from circuit to circuit, because of course, here at Monza, it's a relatively decent length of laps, so you've got enough time to get the tyre up to temperature on the out lap. So that might go to the theory that, yes, you would want to just do 1 or 2 flyers, rather than, sometimes if it's a very short circuit, like, say, Lime Rock, for example, the tyres aren't really up to their best when you start your first flying lap. So that's going to be fascinating to watch and see how the drivers play that one. Of course, they've got a great choice of cars in the GT3 category. We have this car on screen right now, the Lamborghini Huracan GT3, the most recent addition to the iRacing service. 5.2 litre V10 engine, normally aspirated, mounted in the middle of the car, a proper supercar. But also, it goes up against cars like the BMW M4 GT3, a little bit more of a sports car. This one, front-engined, straight six, but with with a twin turbocharging system on it as well. And what's cool about this car, Sam, of course, is that it hasn't actually turned its first wheel in anger in the real world yet. In fact, it's still in development, but it's already been born here on iRacing, and I believe it's going to make its first competitive steps at the VLN in July, I believe.
It's quite a baptism of fire, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that race. Yeah, I'll test the structural integrity, test the steering as well. Yeah, it's a real nice mix because we were originally planning to have GT4 cars in this series as well, but because of the engines being overwhelmingly GT3s, we made it all GT3, and of course, we've been able to fill up the entries regardless, even with just the single class. So it has we get the McLaren added, which we didn't expect. We were expecting a McLaren GT4 to be so it's not exactly gaining a McLaren, but still nice to see it out there. It might actually be quite a strong car around this circuit because it's historically been very good down the straights, has the 12C. But yeah, a real good mix, and it's cool to see iRacing invest in the GT3 so much. I think a lot of that, of course, to do with the real life situation where GT's kind of fading and then GT3's very much becoming once again the most popular kind of a GT class in the world. And yeah, it's nice to see iRacing continually bringing new cars to the service to build this class.
I think it's a really good step from the guys at iRacing. Of course, there's a few cars in the field here that we've had on the service for a while. The McLaren was certainly... I mean, it's amazing to talk about the McLaren NP412C. That's the first road car that the modern-day McLaren made, well over 10 years ago now, in road form anyway. But to have the Audi R8 there as well, it's relatively well established. But I tell you what, I'm very excited about, Sam, is when we get the Porsche 911 GT3R, which is, well, I'm sure that will make the GT3 classes even more sonorous than they already are.
Exactly, and that's why there's no Ford out there, you know. That, along with the case that the Ford's OP, obviously everyone would be in a Ford, so, you know, we don't want that to happen. You know, the other cars need a chance, you know. Ford is that good. So we've left that out, and so the drivers after round 3 of the season will be able to change to the Porsche if they so wish. So yeah, watch for that car to be added later on in the season. You can currently see the times coming in. We've still got a couple more minutes to go, and that red stripe by the position number, that indicates a pro driver. The white indicates an amateur driver. So at the moment, the top 25 are all pro drivers, and seemingly the person who set the pro-am dividers very good at their job. So it's yeah, a real domination for the first half of the grid at the moment. In fact, it's only Anders Ankerson who I think is a little bit out of position, but still the drivers score points for their overall position in the race. So you still want to beat the pros if you're an amateur driver.
That you do, yeah. All those bits, all those places on track, all count for points. Now, brilliant to see Gaten Anger back. Is currently 7th on the timesheets here in qualifying. He really was special in the inaugural season of the ARL GT Trophy last time out. Had a great battle with Nick Madsen for the championship, but he really just was that one gear ahead of the rest. And well, I think it shows the point, Sam, of how deep this second season field is going to be, because at the moment Gaten will actually just been chipped back to 9th place.
I think he won 6 out of 7 rounds last season, didn't he? And the only race I commentated on was Watkins Glen, and he just had that kind of aura of inevitability that he was going to win. You know, he wasn't even going for the lead in the early stages. He was happy just to stay behind and get it done on strategy. So yeah, it's remarkable that he's currently down 9th place, 6.5 tenths to a second off pole position. Look at, he loses 4 tenths clear. 4 tenths. Absolutely crazy. Sven Newman nearly won the GT Championship, didn't he? And he's down in 6th place at the moment, over half a second off. So no, this is a real impressive performance at the moment from Reasons. I doubt he will dominate the race, but in qualifying, he's really got one over the rest.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that is a huge advantage. When you look at really second back to 16th is 4 tenths. And that's also the gap between first and second. So yeah, Rosens is looking very, very strong. But of course, here at Monza, the draft is massive. It's really, really important. And of course, here in the ARL GT Trophy, we have a 60-minute race with a compulsory pit stop. Therefore, the fuel mileage is very important. How economical you are, because the lower amount of fuel that you use over your stint, the less amount of time you have to spend in pit lane topping up again. So, although although Rosens at the moment has a 4/10 of a second advantage, it's going to be really a game of chess here at Monza about how the drivers use the draft to keep that fuel number down. As we say, Gaten Anger moves up the field, pulls a lap out at the last moment, and will start no better than third at the moment. Looks like he will start from third, but still, nobody can get near that 4/10 gap.
Okay, what can Arast do? Not an improve for him. Pixie near the back goes to 21st, still a second off, as the gridding process is about to start for the first round of the championship.
So we're about ready to go then here at Monza. Kenny Rosens on pole position with a 1 minute 47.528. His fellow Belgian Amaury Bondel, his teammate, will start 4/10 of a second back in second place. Gaten Anger, the defending champion, will start at the front of the second row alongside Richard Gefenku. Maxime Mariotte and Pascal Stix start on row 3 with Jonathan Poulet and Sven Newman on row 4. Carl Winkler and Conan Wern round out the top 10. Thomas Arens will start from 11th alongside Mark Fletcher on the 6th row of the grid. Starting on row 7 from 13th position will be Callum Brandt alongside Baptiste Schneider. Brandon Taboni will start 15th alongside Make Palich. Dominic Engen will start from 17th alongside Corentin Collignon. Tom Dadswell will start 19th, followed by Kevin Fittemant, Hugh Haycox, Antonio PX, Leandro Anderuti, and Danny Lee rounding out the 12th row. Stefan Nikolajevic will start alongside Oysen Hereford on row 13, with Dean Powell and Hakon Grebstad on row 14. George Wiggins and Ander Ankerson round out your top 30. Marcus Geyer, Dave Erden, Tom Bingham, Pontus Overstrom, Andrew Brom, and Aaron Smith round out the first 18 rows. Jason Hodgson starts 37th, followed by Juan Manuel Calleja, Vivian Daber, Alan Carrigier, Alan Hart, Phil Reagan, Manuel Wacker, James Newing, JB Rasmussen, Gavin Russell, Zach Edel, and Yuri Pepin Evers will start from 48th on the grid. And the last few now, Paul Robson, Angel Pedrero, Stephen Sander, Steve Brown, Nolan Lemery, Randy Wilson, Dennis Meisner, and Peter Sikdar round out our 56 car grid. We couldn't fit any more if we tried.
I'm having the troubles at the moment on my timing screen. I'm trying to debate whether or not to make all the names tiny so I can fit them all in my screen, or to just miss out the bottom 15 drivers. It's quite a contrary at the moment. It's a happy problem to have, because this one should be pretty mental for the drivers. Just hope that we get through that first chicane fine. I mean, it's inevitable we're going to see an incident at the first chicane. That's my mindset here, but hopefully it doesn't involve too many drivers, and hopefully if we just have maybe the one incident at the first chicane, then they all get into line later on. Of course, no reverse grid in this race, so the drivers will be aware that an hour long, posting all these positive vibes. Hopefully they all keep it very clean. So far this formation up has at least been very clean.
They've been well guided by the Porsche pace car, which is good. 2 BMWs on the front row of the grid. Is there anything to read into that? I think it's more the fact they're Valkyrie Esports, who have had a brilliant run in qualifying. Will the Belgian outfit be able to carry it into the race? We're about to start a brand new season here in the Apex Racing League GT Trophy. 56 GT3 cars, over 2,500 horsepower. Up we go into Autodromo Nazionale Monza, and it's a good start from Rosens. His teammate Bondwell tucks in behind, and they've already got a little bit of gallop on the field. Gaten Anger goes to the inside in the Lamborghini and actually has to go to shut the door slightly on Gefenku. Hard on the brakes they go, all trying to mind their manners as best they can. Oh, it's just a car park coming through here. The first sort of 10 or 20 cars getting through well. Oh, one of the Audis through as well. But more or less, pretty good for Monza Turn 1.
There's a few instances down the pit straight with drivers just being hit off into the wall, but I think most drivers manage to get through all right. They do get a faster pair as well in this series, albeit you don't really want to take an extra pit stop if you can avoid it. So you see a slow exit there for Poulet and Fletcher trying to take an advantage of this one. Very similar liveried cars, but they are different teams. And it's Mark Fletcher up into 8th position. Great start for Fletcher, actually. He's up 4 places, so the biggest gainer in the top 20 positions. Also great start for Kaleha, who's up 11 places into 27th. As Bonjour now takes the lead off Rusens.
That's interesting. Well, this is where having a strong teammate can be helpful in the context of sim racing, because we talk about it all the time in the Formula 1 world, where you, or really in really any type of outdoor motorsport, you want to beat your teammate. No, you don't want to beat your team. Oh God, we got a crash. Crashed on the exit of Ascari. It's one of the fiercely forward Audis. I think that's Dad's. No, it's. We'll come back to it on who that is. One of the Lamborghinis off as well, and he's, oh dearie me, broadside, it's Baptiste Schneider. Oh, and it's absolutely triggered a massive pile-up.
Yeah, Giles trying to avoid the incident, having to go onto the ground and then bouncing back on, and the same thing happening a few times over. So just a few of the drivers have had issues. Evers, Bingham and Ulfstrom, I think the ones who have had the worst of that so far. So we've got pretty wide into the first corner at the moment. That is actually for the upper places in the amateur categories. Gaia in amongst that, but I think he was actually losing a place there to Nikola Jevic right there. Also, it's like Kolinia with a slowdown. Giles was fairly slow for a moment there. Still running in 15th place as the leader of the amateur category. Has got another spinner now, and that's again into the middle of the circuit, and that is a Haycox there into the track. But fortunately, he does.
Hugh Haycox, I do apologise, it's the teammate of Tom Bingham, same car, same livery, blue Lamborghini. So a few drivers biting the dust already here at Monza, but it's Bondwell leading from Rosens, his teammate, and Sam, that cooperation out front from between the teammates could be critical to pulling away from Gaten Anger in third, who, although that Lamborghini is fantastic in the corners, does maybe suffer a little bit on the straights.
Yeah, I think that's the main weakness of the Lamborghini. All these cars have different strengths and weaknesses, and some are more kind of obvious than others. Yeah, this may not be the best ground for Anger as it's a little bit of 2x2. Austin Hereford in this one, and now we're going to see 3 wide. These drivers get a poor exit. Still got 56 more minutes to go in this race. So this is Hereford with the layer at the front of this pack. Powell just dropping back, seemingly struggling in the Mercedes there, just on the inside in the pale blue car, and storming through there. It's Austin Hereford gains 3 positions in quick succession. It stops into the narrow first chicane, and Hereford is on his way back to the lead. Still Bonjour leading the way. Ahead of Rusens, he's actually made a little bit of a gap to Rusens, who's got a slowdown now.
Yeah.
Or has he? Yeah, he definitely does. And he's trying to serve it without losing track position to Kavenku. I'm sure Kavenku isn't totally pleased with that one. Just having to stay behind, and still Rusens just serving the remainder of that slowdown. So the pole sitter, we knew that he wasn't going to run away with it. That was never really something that came into our minds, but he has made this race a bit more tricky for himself.
Very much so, yes. Getting an iRacing slowdown penalty. What that is, folks, is if you just step enough over the track limit where the computer defines whether you've made an advantage or not, it will serve you an automatic time penalty, which you actually have to serve while moving. So you effectively slow down to a certain amount depending on the severity of the penalty. And what, although there is a fine art to serving a slowdown penalty with the minimal amount of damage, and that's exactly what Rosens was doing there. He was effectively serving the penalty on the racing line when there really is only one line through the 2 Lesmos. And yes, as you rightly said, Sam, Kavenku, he's probably fizzing at the wheel of that Lamborghini right now.
Yeah, and in the end, couldn't make it, so we'll just have to try to stay in the draft if we possibly can. Collini on there, the fastest amateur time of the race, not the fastest one overall. As we see on board with Antonio here, up the inside of Dominic Engel, leaving him room. It's Aldi versus Aldi again, because we've got Dadswell just behind. But the fact that this is a high-speed circuit, it is fairly old school, so the track, for the most part, isn't wide enough for 3 cars. He's going to have the upper hand here. Outside line can work very well. We're about to see that here with Yexi around the outside. A little bit of damage on the back of that car. He has successfully made that move. Meanwhile, Broom right in the midst of things. He's just ahead of Grebstad. Grebstad was a little bit faster on that last lap, so he tries to make his way back up after a poor start. In fact, Grebstad just had an issue at turn 1, I believe, so that's why he's now behind.
Okay, so Andrew Broom showing 5th there. That's 5th in class, in the AM class. So the white marker next to his name signifying that he is in the AM class, and red is for Pro, of course. And now, interestingly, back at the front, Bonduelle has opened up a gap of 1.4 seconds from getting Anger. Now, that is enough to break the aerodynamic slipstream, and his teammate Rosens is all over the back of Anger now. So this is good, despite the slowdown penalty for Rosens. It's going well for Valkyrie so far. And look at that mirror signal maneuver. The big BMW just booms past on the straight, and there's not a great deal that Gaten Anger can do there. Now, the only thing is, though, is if Gaten Anger can hang on, he, of course, can play the smart game here. We've seen him do this before, Sam, where Gaten Anger can be quick and be efficient on fuel at the same time.
I don't hold out much hope for Anger, honestly. That was insane how much faster Reasons was than sure. I mean, that could be the BMW, that could be the setup that they're running. But even in the tow, I imagine Anger will barely be catching up. Corners, of course, the two teammates look fairly good. So yeah, that is going to be a tough race now for Anger. Styx just goes ahead of Marriott. There we are, up into 5th position. I think there was an issue for Newman on that last lap. Or maybe it was Winkler. So one of the core sim racing guys had a bit of an off on the last lap. I think it may have been Winkler who dropped down, so he's down to 15.
Okay. I guess the only thing Gaten Anger can do here, I guess the fuel game is really his only shout, I suppose, because as was demonstrated in pretty vivid fashion there, that BMW has got some serious grunt on the straight, much like its bigger brother, the M8 GTE. So you've got to think that if Anger can, stay behind them and keep with them on the midfield, where he is bound to be quicker, and at least just hold some sort of toe on the straight, he can just sort of keep them in sight. This is it's going to be intriguing, and of course, this is as we go through the season, we're going to go to different types of circuit, and that balance of performance between all these very different vehicles is going to play out over the season very nicely.
Yeah, that's Newman just popping ahead of Marriott there. So both of the core sim racing drivers have got past. Uh-oh, here we go. Here's another core sim racing driver in the middle of this one. Mint there in third position in this train. Actually, quite a bit of damage on that BMW. That's going to really cost him around this Monza circuit, and he's just lost out to Engel and Ankerson. So Ankerson was one of the lowest placed pro drivers in qualifying, so his pace seems to be a lot stronger, and like Engel is that far down. He's qualified 17th, which is not great, and then he's in 19th position at the moment, so I expect him to continue to make progress. So we've got a car so on the inside. That's just a driver letting these other guys go because they are a lap down. I believe that was Peter Sikdar or Tom Bing. I think it was Tom Bing actually, just saying those drivers past.
Good to see. Nice manners there as well, and it just shows you it is really quite painful going down a lap early on, because you can get freight trained really and really thwart your opportunity to get back onto the lead lap and get back in the flow of the race. Nice to see, we haven't got many of the Mercedes AMG GTs in the field, but nice to see we've got a couple. Nice to see Danny Lee opting for that, Dean Powell as well. A big front engine brute is the AMG, 6.2 litres of Stuttgart muscle in the front of that car. No turbos, no messing about. That is a proper race car, and what a sound.
Yeah, it was really the go-to GT3 cars for years, wasn't it? But it is now a little bit of a bit archaic compared to the others. So it's not used so much, but it's nice to see it still being represented. I think you were right and I was wrong about Anger, because he has actually been able to keep up with Reasons. I honestly thought Reasons would pull away, but I think your call of him staying in the tow has worked well. It's getting a little bit messy just in the background there. That was Kalahar just going past Antaruti, or defending, I believe, against Antaruti. We will get better at these names as the season goes on. We've got 9 hours of racing to get the hang of that. But the Nitro AMG Nitro racing team driver is staying ahead, but maybe not for much longer. Trying to cover it off into the Lesbo. Very early to be racing this aggressively. There's a little bit of contact between them, and Kalahar has to go off the circuit. You can't see that one a couple of quarters back.
Ooh, yeah, it's a pretty stiff move there, but all fair in love and war, as they say. I need to write that down, Sam. We're just after the 11-minute mark for our social media to clip that sound clip. Sam Fitzpatrick saying, "I was wrong and you were right." That's a collector's item, and I feel that should be documented.
Put that on your CV if you want. I'll sign it off.
They'll go, "Really, he said that?" Impossible. So back at the front, it's I think Gaten Anger's playing this one really smart, and you got to think that for Kenny Rosens, he's thinking, I know I'm quicker than you, I know over a lap I've got more pace, but that pace is made up on the straights, whereas Anger is so good in the corners that he can just hang on the back. And of course, you've got to think that BMW throws off a pretty big slipstream as well, because that rear wing is like, it's like a garden fence, whereas the Lamborghini is kind of low and it just sort of stalks behind the BMW.
I don't know how sophisticated iRacing's model is. I don't know if they'd just like type in 3 for the slipstream setting for all these GT3 cars and be done with it, or whether they do take into consideration that aerodynamics. But if that is the case, yeah, the BMW's got to punch a bigger hole because it's twice the height. So that could be an advantage for Anger. And of course he's saving fuel at the moment. I mean, I think even if Anger did get track position after the pit stops, I back Bonjour to catch him back up anyway. But Anger's giving himself the best chance at the moment. I mean, he's been absolutely faultless, and even a 3rd place in this round 1 would still be an alright result. But he does set in for a very long season for him. As nearly 3 wide. It's a Schneider and others. Schneider's now ahead of Smith, who just moves ahead of Edel. Not a good start for Smith, actually. It's an alright start for Smith, one of our best amateur drivers from the end of last season. And yeah, Smith has done 11 places, Schneider down 32 places. I think they've all taken pit stops at the early stages here. And that is just a net loss. Like, they're not going to get to the end of the race from here on in with that pit stop. In fact, the pit stop pit stop area should open in about 10 minutes time. So yeah, bad news for those drivers, as we see Dean Powell, who really does seem to be struggling down the straights here, and I think Powell might be overtaken quite easily by Kalahar down into turn 1.
Yeah, he's really having to hustle that Mercedes pretty hard, is Dean Powell. It's a very stable machine, the Mercedes, so in low downforce trim that will help. And I think that Dean Powell, of course, he had just the most amazing battle with eventual ARL GT champion Nicholas Laubisch at Sonoma, one of the best races I think I've ever seen, and poor old Dean lost by about 3 whiskers worth. It was not a lot. It was really close indeed. Now, coming back to Gaten Anger, I would would be really interesting to get an onboard shot with Gaten, because of course the fuel saving is quite an art. So it would be interesting to see from this, Sam, by listening to Gaten's 5.2 litre V10 in the back of his Lamborghini, to see if he's lifting and coasting or if he's pushing with everything he's got to try and hang on to these BMWs. Of course, in the iRacing, the way that it calculates the fuel use, you can't short shift and save fuel. It's all done on the throttle input, I understand.
Yeah, there's it's all done on the throttle, so however much percentage throttle you are running, that's it. So yeah, there's no point in short shifting because iRacing doesn't simulate the kind of engine mechanics to that extent. So yeah, have it as much as you like. It's all about just lifting and coasting. Lifting and coasting there has just dropped a little bit away from reasons here, so Hank will be pushing real hard just to try to get that gap back down to under 0.4 of a second. And they've actually both caught up to Bonjour recently, so if Hank can stay close to reasons for a bit longer, will be a little bit closer to Bonjour as well, but that gap is just ominously growing at the moment. As we see Dadswell, who has been falling backwards a little bit, I believe. Maybe these are the same drivers as he was passing this. In fact, actually, I think he did pass Antonio on the last lap. But they're still being joined by 5 or 6 other drivers behind as Antonio thinks we're going for the move into the chicane, but bets up of it, stays behind. But I think this could be a 6-car train basically.
I wonder if anyone goes to Mr. Dadswell and asks him how the family is.
I'm speechless.
We're 17 minutes into a new season, Sam, and we're probably getting the sack already.
I mean, I've just thought about it now, and I did say 9 hours earlier on. 9 hours. 9 hours. My God. This broadcast is an hour and a half in total. So that's 13.5 hours that I'm going to have to spend with this level of commentary. So, pray for me, guys. Anger's got a slowdown, I think. He's got second place.
I've lost my replay feed. You're getting a replay, Sam?
Yeah, well, it was just a mistake from Boozers through the second chicane, and Anger's been able to get past it, but he's lost even Anger a second there, and it's lost Boozers close to 2 seconds. And even Gafenki's not even that far behind anymore. So that's good news for Bonjour, but we've seen Reasons. I saw Reasons go wide at the first chicane a few laps ago as well. He seems to be pushing very hard, which isn't much of a surprise, but I'm surprised because he looks so imperious in qualifying. He's fallen to a mistake like that. Still time to bring it back, and we wait to see if Reasons can get past Anger as easily as he did earlier on.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because 0.4 of a second, as we mentioned, is a huge advantage in qualifying, but just made a couple of little errors here and there, has Rosen. So, well, for Gaten Anger, that's exactly what he needs. And perhaps, Sam, it's the fact that Gaten Anger is just there as a constant threat. You know, Rosens knows he's got the straight line speed advantage, which is always what you want. But there's nothing more irritating than having your rival just glued to your rear bumper the whole time, and it is easier to make a mistake then.
Yeah, when you're under that much pressure, when you've got such a quick drive ahead of in Bonjour as well. He's driving perfectly at the moment. He's putting perfect lap times just to take a 10th out of their lead. It is tricky, but Reason's experienced driver, of course. I'm sure he will get back on track soon, as Marriott is continuing to fall down. I think that's a bit harsh, Marriott. I think he did terrifically well for fierce according qualifying. He's just struggling to match that pace in the race there. And look at Mark Fletcher now moving past. Mark Fletcher, of course, the American GTE champion, as that's a little bit of contact as they move past the back marker. Yeah, he won the American GT championship in the GTE class, I believe, beating Mr. Tom McLaren as well on route to the title. and also a lot of success in the World GT Championship as well. So very quick driver this one.
Yeah, that is it. And of course, here on the iRacing service, the GT, the level of competition in GT racing is arguably the highest of any category because the cars are so popular, because they're relatively accessible to drive. They have anti-lock braking systems and they have traction control. That means that the depth of people driving these cars is unbelievable. So therefore, stands to reason that the guys at the top will be very, very good indeed. I think they call it the pyramid rule in sport development.
That would make sense. Yeah. Yeah. There's.
Why Scotland are not so good at team sports like football, for example.
Yeah. I would have thought the Egyptians would be absolutely superb if it came down to pyramids. World Cup.
They're at the peak of their powers.
Yeah. Yeah. If only there could just be a slight rule change to make that more important. Yeah, honestly, I think there's many reasons why Scotland aren't at the top of football, honestly.
You are correct. I mean, I am, well, I despise football. I feel I have to say that on every broadcast now.
I don't like it either, by the way.
Yeah, good. I'm glad we're able to see that.
I'm always happy to bash the Scottish, so...
You know, as long as you're bashing Scottish football, that's fine. Otherwise, we might have an issue.
Yeah, I mean, if it comes down to, you know, Jackie Stewart or Alan McNeish, then yeah, it get a bit controversial.
Could get a bit fighty. Could get Scottish. Could get the stereotypes could come through there. Bondswell leads by nearly 4 seconds from getting anger, not from his teammate Rosens, who set the pole time, and getting anger actually is still holding that position, so Rosens not quite going through. You wonder, this will be interesting to see next time we come onto the pitch straight, if Rosens decides to gas up the BMW and blast by anger. I feel he has the choice, should he wish to, given the straight line speed advantage of the BMW, but maybe he's thinking, right, I need to hit my fuel number. And actually, the one thing I love about that BMW particularly is it gives you fantastic up-to-date information on your fuel usage. Almost as good as the SDK Gaming overlay. Almost.
Well, I was just about to say, you know, why do you need all that information provided by iRacing when you can just go to sdk-gaming.co.uk in order to download a software which will give you, live timing information, a fantastic overlay such as this, along with in-race data to improve your performance. So, that's what was very much at the forefront of my mind when you said that. But I think he was lifting, placing into the parabolica. I mean, they're miles off now, Anchor and Reasons. So Reasons made more mistakes, and Anchor just isn't very quick when he hasn't got the draft, compared to Bonjour, that is. Bonjour seems to have 7/10 on Anchor when they're both in clean air. So, yeah, just... really going towards the 1-2-8 at the moment, as I think that was Poulet and Verne battling, and that is apologies, it was Palich and Arans right there. I think that was Palich getting past, was it not? I believe it was, or it could have even been back markers. I'm getting very confused there, but here comes Palich then, and yeah, it was a back marker, so a few drivers were being pushed out of the way. Now Palich is off the line. He needs to be careful. He's onto the gravel. He's going to lose a position here to Arens. He's recently made that move, actually, Palich, so he's going to have to make it all over again.
And actually, although they're running in different manufacturers, they are, in fact, teammates, I believe. Arens is in the sole McLaren MP412C in the field. Yes, Corson Racing 2, there he is. And then Mick Palich in the Audi R8. And we saw, of course, Mick Palich do very well in the just finished season of ARL GT in another mid-engine naturally aspirated car, but of course that was a Corvette, so obviously likes that type of layout and power delivery.
Yeah, and it's certainly well in that. I mean, he's not finished, and you haven't brought up the Thank goodness you don't have any Finnish drivers, but I think it's on that same level as well. Yeah. I think you may have a point though. I personally am so numb to the ways that the different cars drive. I honestly could jump into any GT3 car and honestly couldn't say what the difference between any of them is. Totally ignorant of that. And that's why, well, that's part of the reason why I only do single class series, like the Radical or the Porsche Cup, because I don't have to worry about all of that.
The nuances.
See, it's that Scottish brain of yours. It's in your genes.
Maybe we're always looking for a reason to feel like we're being shortchanged.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, that's one thing I have to say. I can't wait to see what of course, we have a lot of different types of Porsche on the iRacing service. We've got the 911 Cup car, which has its own unique character. The Cayman GT4. We have the 911 RSR, but I'm really excited to see what the 911 GT3R, which will drop into this class, how it will behave, because each car has, each car has a character. It does. Each car, probably more overriding, each car has a reputation in the iRacing world. The Audi has a reputation for being a bit of a widowmaker. It's really snappy on the limit sometimes. Lamborghini's a bit of a softie. The BMW is a bullet down the straight. The McLaren, well, it's another widowmaker. So goodness knows what the Porsche's going to be like. Or if your Sam Fitzpatrick just feels like a GT car.
Yeah, there you go. Here comes. This is Daswell eating out. Wonder if anyone ever says to him, "How's the family?" And that was.
It's not a bad gag, that one.
No, I think it's the delivery, honestly.
Okay.
It's Scottish, clearly. So that was, Daswell losing the position. Now Nico Lajevic is fairly close. As we have a change for second position, that's Luzen's finally moving ahead, but he's lost so much time there. I do think he saved a bit of fuel. I think he was lifting and coasting behind Anger, but I don't think it was worth the effort of staying behind. I think he should have just tried to pull the trigger immediately. Pit window's open, by the way. These drivers are limited to 60% fuel, and so this very high fuel consumption circuit will probably only be able to get about 35 minutes of fuel out of the car. So now that we're past the 25-minute mark, you can get to the end and expect the drivers to start to come in maybe about 5 minutes time, and the end of the drivers, so you come in about 10 minutes time. If you can save a bit of fuel, it could be an advantage, and that's certainly what losers will be banking on, I imagine.
Yeah, and I think if you're getting Anger, you've got to try. You can't afford to go off strategy really to Rosen's. I think if like we said, he clearly needs to be in the draft, to be in the fight. So you've got to think that he's. It looked to me there, Sam. What do you think? It seemed to me there that Anger just kind of blended out the throttle and allowed Rosen's by. Knew that he was maybe going to make a move anyway, and just came out the throttle that little bit earlier, thinking I'm exactly where I need to be here at this moment in time.
Yeah, I think that is the case. As Styx, also racing. Styx and even a more iconic duo. They are leaping through the order like knifey butter, to use a cliche.
Yeah, that's a flying fin expression if I've ever heard it.
yeah. That's true. Sorry.
And is Styx leading the Christian Klein Salver for Austrian drivers? I think he might be.
I think so. He hasn't got much competition tonight. He's got Marcus Gaia. Yeah, that's it. Two of them.
Oh,
really mixed nationalities tonight. Very few British, lots of European. All of Europe is represented.
That's what we like to see. That's good. And lots of different. We've got German cars. We've got Italian, made by Germans, or with German parts. Of course, Lamborghini owned by the Volkswagen Audi group. What else do we have? we've got McLaren, which is, who owns McLaren these days? Is that a moving target?
That's the Bahrain.
Bahraini.
I think.
Ah. You're right enough. So it is. Yes. Is it the Bahrain royal family, or is it?
I think, I'm not sure. I think they might be private investors. Oh, that's a crash in the background. I think he's just crashed there, but it was a huge off at the final chicane. Cameraman Dennis Branch doing an awesome job of finding this one. This is Randy Wilson for Ronin Sim Sports Academy. It's already a lap down. It's a bit more than that, absolutely hard into the wall. Fortunately, that's a tyre barrier, so it absorbed some of the impacts, and so he didn't go rebounding back onto circuit. It's could have been a whole lot worse. It's getting sticks up into fourth position, just consolidating that move. Have fallen once Anger's behind Boozers, his pace increased by about half a second on that. Because he's got the draft, he goes from kind of high 48s to low 48s now, and just set their fastest laps of the race. In fact, did the second and third place drivers. So they're really motoring along, just as though it looked as though Force Invis might have a chance at a podium. These two are now starting to pedal away again.
Yeah, they were, and I tell you what, Pascal Sticks is throwing everything he can at it. He's in the leading Audi, of course, at the moment. His teammate not too far behind, Sven Newman, who, I tell you what, Sam, Sven Newman in that final race of the season in ARL GT at the wheel of his Corvette, he was sublime, actually.
He was very good, and of course that they already had it in the bag, but that's confirmed for Sim Racing the Teams Championship as well on that occasion. So very successful team in their first season as well in that series, albeit I think they're the favourites going in anyway. But yeah, he drove really well, especially around Long Beach for 40 minutes. It's tricky to keep it out of the walls and he won it by quite a comfortable distance. And of course, it was through that result that he managed to get second place in the championship, as we got both Bonjour and Anger in, so it's only Reasons he managed to go the extra lap. So Anger, I think, will be a bit disappointed with that one, that he wasn't able to push the extra lap. And now Reasons, the question is, can he go one extra lap Reasons, or can he go two extra laps? If he's really going to have a chance at the win, I think he needs to extend it by a couple.
That is fascinating, actually, as well. So has Rosens been playing poker with us the whole time? Has he really just been throwing in mistakes there deliberately? No, he wouldn't be doing them deliberately, but has he actually been on a fuel save game the entire time, and he's now just pulled the joker out from within his sleeve and gone, puts it on the table and goes, what do you think of that, guys? The only thing that might thwart his progress slightly is he's got quite a lot of lap traffic to contend with, though, interestingly.
Yeah, he has a bit. He's got probably more traffic than what Bonjour has. Because everyone pitted on that last lap, apart from Nikola Jevic and Ankerson. Everyone else all pitted. By the way, Bonjour was in the pit stop for a while, actually, so he was 2 seconds. So he was 2 seconds longer in the pit stall than Anger was. So I think Anger did save a bit of fuel. He was just short of making the extra lap, though. So I imagine Reasons will be in this lap, unless he saved an immense amount of fuel. He'll surely have to pit. He gets a little bit of a tow hit, which will help him along. But he'll just be, if he can get within 3 seconds when he comes out of the pits of his teammate, then that'd be good. But that's not going to help the cause, is it? And I wonder if this 246 car is actually coming into the pits, which could make it very tricky for Reasons here. He is also going to have to come into the pits, and this is absolutely wrecking his run. He does come into the pits eventually, and that is absolutely dreadful for Reasons. Any chance of gaining on Bonjour is gone. I think he may have even fallen behind Anker now.
Oh, that is a nightmare there for Rosens. I mean, I dare anyone to go and put a kind of virtual arm around his shoulder and go, you might have saved a bit of fuel though getting stuck behind it. I'm not volunteering.
It'll be close now, because Anger was real quick in the pit stop. Reasons can't afford speed station for more than 21 seconds. It's coming up to that 21 seconds now, 21, 22. Oh, this is long for Reasons. This is very long for Reasons. I think he might have a bit of a problem here. The podium's gone. He might even be outside the top 10 by the end of this one because he's up to 35 seconds. He's stationed for 15 seconds longer than what he should have been. I can only imagine he somehow sped on pit entry, which would be ironic considering that he was held up quite so much. But he's still sitting there.
Did my eyes deceive me there, or did he just... Whoa!
Oh, no.
There. Mark Fletcher nerfed off by... now, was that Newman? I think it... Yes, goodness. Ooh, naughty boy, Sven Newman. That was pretty unceremonious. Now, coming back to Rosen's, did my eyes deceive me there, or did he drop down off the jacks, i.e. taking tyres, which would be bizarre?
Nah, I think it was... I think he may have cut the pit entry line. Anyone on the YouTube chat, you could enlighten us, that's us, do you know? But I think he may have cut the pit entry line because he kind of went wide and then he went tight into the pit lane and he got 40 seconds stop and hold for that. So you can see him down the order now, he's down to 23rd place. He'll do well to get into the top 15, frankly, from here on in. So that is absolutely dreadful. And I mean, it's nine meetings this season. That is not the way you want to start the championship.
No, it's not, especially with not only pole position, but a super dominant pole position as well there for Rosens in the 133 BMW. But he's 43 seconds back at the moment, and yeah, 40 seconds stop and hold. There you go. That would have put him on top of Getting Anger. So this is where the thing is, every driver in it, particularly in the sim racing world, every driver in a 9-race championship is going to come across some sort of issue, whether that be crashes, getting caught up in others' incidents, even technical difficulties with internet and what have you. So I think it's all about limiting how bad those rare days are, and this is where we might see that qualifying pace come back out again, Sam, because he's topped up, he's fine on fuel. And I think we'll see him carve through the field and make a mark on it at the moment. 23rd with 23 minutes to go. Let's see what he can do from there.
Fletcher, after losing a few places on that last lap, is having to fight real hard to keep Arends behind. He got back past at the Parabolica. That's almost touching down into the chicane, but Fletcher now just putting a little bit of a gap away. Marriott's back up to 7th then. So it's only 2 places down from where he starts, and he should be alright, I think, from those guys behind to the end of the race. I mean, you can see them quite vividly in his mirrors, but I think he should have the pace hang on because Fletcher will, of course, now have damage. He's got a slow car down in 48th position, just letting the other drivers past. Here is Dadswell once again. By the way, someone in the YouTube chat, thanks for letting us know that Anger's got a damaged hand at the moment. So keep that in mind. You wouldn't have guessed it. He's driving very well in 2nd place. But here is Dadswell, and this battle has been going for a while now with Antonio just ahead of him. This is something that's happened to Tom Bingham. So he had a bit of a nightmare tonight. And in fact, that was him letting past all those drivers. So he's been very good, Bingham, at letting past the drivers as he goes a lap down. But it's not exactly the thing that he would want to have been remembered by in this race.
Now, I'm just having a look on the comments. Hello to everyone watching here on Apex Racing TV. Do say hello in the YouTube chat. Very excited to see Bruno Belny from Martinique joining us this evening, Sam. Our favourite touring car driver.
My favourite person from Martinique. Personally, I don't know about you. Strong competition.
No, I don't know why anyone else would turn up.
Exactly. Yeah. He's the best person in Martinique. I think that's quite a claim to take, isn't it? So congrats to him. Good that he's on the YouTube chat, and let us know your thoughts of this race. If there's any information that we've missed, if there's any mistakes that we've made, let us know, because we can learn from it, we can improve as people, as we should all strive to do. Dean Powell is onto the back of Callagher. He's actually at the top of the amateur category, so there was an issue there, so apologies for this. So Corentin Colin Lyon has had an issue, and he actually sped or cut the pit entry line. So Colonial, who led the amateur category by such a big margin, we didn't really talk about it that much because Corentin was so dominant, and also he may be promoted by the drivers into the pro category up to time because he has been so quick. But he's lost that amateur lead now. He's out of 5th position. How far is he off the lead of the amateur category? 17 seconds, so he won't win the amateur category, but he can see 3rd position, just a second up the road at the moment. So all from these from Corentin, and yeah, 2 of the big hitters. In fact, the pro for both the pole for both the pro and the amateur categories, both falling victim to pit lane penalties.
Oh dear, not good for Valkyrie Esports. They'll have to have a Westmalle or an Orval to drown their sorrows later. Very good fizzy Belgian beverage, which for me, Sam, the best in the world at producing beer. Not bad at making racing drivers as well.
Yeah. Waffles. That's something that comes from that country. I'm not an expert, I'm not going to lie. Did have once having a Belgian exchange student, actually, who lived with us for a week. So that's my claim to that nation.
That's a good one. I nearly forgot, the best chips in the world, hands down, from the Friture in Belgium. Used to go to a great one near Brussels Airport. It was just magic. Never seen a bigger portion of chips in your life. Steam Powell going up the inside in the BMW. Good move. He's driven well tonight, although it's maybe not given the result he might deserve here. We've seen Dean driving very clean and making some really nice moves out on track tonight in that Mercedes.
He's only 1 place behind Dean Powell, Danny Lee now, isn't he? So those 2 Performance Link cars are fairly close to one another. That was an awful exit for Winkler right there, and that's well was actually no, that was a back mark, wasn't it? So Winkler just messed up, but he's not under pressure at least. By the way, shout out to one of our sponsors for this series, Virtual Racing School. You have over 50 data packs for both road and oval racing. And in those data packs, you've got setups, you've got chat guides, you've got data analysis software, the best data analysis software, and also one-on-one coaching. So if you're looking to improve your on-track performance, then go to virtualracingschool.com and you can get yourself a subscription. It is really some of the absolute best setups and driver training you can get in all of iRacing. This is all getting very hairy. That was Andre Ruzzi in his home race. No, apologies, he's Swiss. It's Andrew Ruzzi, apologies. These 3 have just been so close to one another. Engel's actually with these guys as well, so Engel, after a poor start, has finally caught up to these guys. It's taking him a little while to do so. Oh, that's real wide for Dadswell to the gravel, and that's actually a slowdown, I think, for Antonio. So Engel easily makes up that 1st position.
Yeah, Dominic Engel really, opportunist there, getting past Pietri, the Portuguese. Of course, his countryman Felipe Albuquerque winning in IMSA, Mid-Ohio on Sunday in a brilliant race with his teammate Ricky Taylor. Pair of them unbelievable fuel saving in the last part of the race. You'd think, oh, how exciting is that? I tell you what, it's exciting when you think they're going to run out. It was very good indeed. Now, this is the battle for the podium. Richard Gavenku trying to hold off the run here of Mr. Sticks in the Horsem Racing Audi. And I tell you what, nothing wrong with the straight line speed of Richard Gavenku's Lamborghini, interestingly. They do have the same engine, of course, so not too much reason for them to be much different. Now this is getting, as you said, Sam, this is getting very spicy indeed here. We've got Audis, we've got Lamborghinis, the McLaren in there as well as they get through the chicane. And what I must say is, in general, the driving and the respect between the drivers has been really, really good tonight.
Okay, so that's something you say after
is it?
the race.
Oops. Right.
You might curse it for the next round, but I'm feeling this last 15 minutes now. After he said that, oh, there you go, contact.
Right, that was on his own.
That was, that's Fletcher actually moving away, isn't it? So Vern passing Avance there. So that's an important move for Vern. Ronin Simsport Academy, good to see Ronin around. A team I'm not familiar with, but they seem very good with the drivers that they signed up with, so watch out for them in this series. Other series, if they so choose to join other championships. Of course, there are loads of other championships occurring on Apex Racing League. We've got Master Cups on Mondays. We've got this series, which is filled up, but you can still put yourself on the reserve list. So if you go to apexracingleague.com and go to the payment details, if you fill out the entry form, you won't be able to pay for an entry, but if you fill out the entry form, then you'll be put on the reserve list. And when a spot becomes available, which will happen, you know, just have to be part of the series sometimes, then we'll contact you and you get a spot. Good, so it's worth doing. And then we've also got Porsche Cups on Wednesdays, we've got touring cars on Thursdays, prototypes on Fridays, Formula 3 on Saturdays, and we'll also have the new season of the Apex Racing League GT Championship in the GTE cars that starts on Sunday. So if you go to apexracingleague.com, you can see all entry details for those various championships. Owen's actually dropping back into Tabone now. I don't think we've mentioned Brandon Tabone at the moment. From Monza, I believe his flag is. And so we don't usually see many Maltese drivers out there.
Well, that's all. Welcome, Brandon. It's in a very nicely painted Lamborghini there as well. It's just such a stunning car, that Lamborghini Huracan. It's interesting how street car, apart from in Performante trim, I would really thank you for one of these, and because they're, to be honest, they're a bit flash, but they look brilliant in race trim. The GT3, of course, winner of up until this year, winner of the last 3 Daytona 24 hours. So it's a pretty good endurance car as well, is the Lamborghini Huracan GT3. I tell you what, I wonder, of course, for those drivers who maybe want to come and join us here in the ARL GT Trophy, if you get yourself on the waiting list now, there's a good chance you'll get in for when the Porsche comes on the stream. So you can come and race in the Porsche GT3R, and that will be, well, of course, Luke from Porsche Sport will be very happy about that, Sam. He won't have to ask us how many Porsches, because he'll be able to see on our SDK Gaming timing software how many there are.
Well, exactly, yeah. There's 0 Porsches, by the way, apart from pace car.
Yeah.
I think that counts. Yeah, but lots of Porsches tomorrow. We broadcast the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. Should be about 45 of them.
Yeah, many in that one. Yeah, that's for sure. Funny enough, we were talking all things Porsche today on the Porsche Sport podcast with our new co-host Hayley Edmonds of ELMS and World Rally Championship fame.
And what's happening with Porsche at the moment? Was it just historical Porsche? Or...
No, we were talking mainly current affairs in the Porsche world. Of course, one with Roger Penske's team, Penske and Porsche, getting back together to run the LMD8 prototypes in the top class. That's going to be very, very exciting for global endurance racing.
Whoa! That was shuts in the door. I think. Oh no, that was it. That's into the wall for Dadswell, and that is not well. That one's not going to get old. That's a gold mine.
It's not. I mean, it's the one. It just keeps on giving. Oh dear, I'm not sick, and I'm not well.
You know when you think to yourself, I shouldn't say something, and then it still comes out anyway.
I think when if you thought it, there's a day where it's going to slip out. That's what I live my life in constant fear of saying the wrong thing. Anyway, Conan Wern for Ronin Sim Sport Academy. Well, that's certainly running very well at the moment. A bit of a gap up to 7th for Jonathan Poulet, who raced up the front, a couple of podiums last season in ARL GT, but brilliant to see such a stacked field here as we're coming into the last 10 minutes. And, you know, interestingly, that Rosens has had really strong pace. Obviously qualified on pole by 0.4 of a second, but it's been gone well in the 128 car, who has executed when it matters, when they hand out the points on race day.
Yeah, he's been in the class of the field. Hasn't made a mistake all day long. Yeah, well-deserved win and a bit of a cushion over his teammate, and of course a few points over Anchor as well. So we saw Carl Winkler actually flying down the order a little bit. Winkler down 16th. By the way, Vern did pass Fletcher a couple of laps ago, so that was Fletcher trying to take back the move. It'll be close between those drivers to the end. There's the gains and losses. You can see the ones up the top there. In fact, a lot of green. It's very much helped by the issues we've seen from the pole sitter driving down the order. And of course a few other issues as well for drivers. But here is Fletcher onto the rear. Still got a while to go in this race, still got 8 minutes. Didn't seem like Fletcher wanted to make that move. Maybe they did make contact with Newman earlier on in the race. Fletcher was doing really well. I think it managed to actually jump Newman during the pit stops. Then got a tap behind. And that's kind of been in this scrap ever since. But he's good through the parabolica, is Fletcher. And he'll have the opportunity to overtake if he so chooses at the end of this straight again. Last time he backed out of it. This time he is also backing out of it, but he's got to be careful here because DeBone is going to be catching these guys very quick.
Yeah, the thing is, it's all very well when you're in a head-to-head battle, but we've got a third driver in there. You can't afford just to sit behind because you can have your pocket picked at any moment. But you've got to think here that Conan Wern defending very, very well from Mark Fletcher in the Audi. And then, of course, don't write off Arends in the Corson Racing McLaren there as well. He's a bit of a joker in the pack. Tell you what, for the defending champion, Gaten Anger, Sam, I think he will be absolutely delighted to get out of this race with a second place finish, knowing that this is probably the least favourable track to his Lamborghini Huracan. And going into some of the other circuits throughout the season, you've got to be thinking this has been, well, what can we say? Mission complete here at Monza.
Yeah, maximum points for him tonight, as he so often did last season as well. That kind of ability to get the most out of the car is a good attribute for Anger. He just does not make mistakes, like a machine is Gates. JB Rasmussen. This is going to be messy. Long time to go off the circuit there. It's one of the drivers, but I think this is a few drivers who are on one lap, and then we've got other drivers who are on a different lap, so it's quite tricky to make sense exactly of what's going on. But yeah, some of this is pole position. This is in pole position, side by side. And then you've got the 1, 2. I'm struggling to see. We've got Rasmussen on one lap in 12th place in the amateur category, but then we've got a lot of drivers on the lead lap around him.
Yes, that's a strange position to be in there for Rasmussen. Maybe he's just thinking, if I nestle in the middle of this pack, they'll maybe not notice I'm here. But of course, Ferrari not the most subtle choice of car, probably not. So you can see, look at this. We see Arends trying to make moves. Fletcher's dropped a little bit further back in that Audi, and Arends actually with nowhere to go. Oh no, there he goes through in the McLaren. Fletcher not putting up too much of a fight there. Oh, as they go, whoa, well held there, and Fletcher's got damage, big damage on the look at the front of that car. So something has happened off camera for Mark Fletcher, and that really clipped his wing.
I think that was just the contact here, honestly.
More, yeah. Well, it's a good spot.
And somehow that didn't put the plan into a spin, but it was just so square on. So Fletcher, 6 places down from where he feels like he could have finished. Certainly would have beaten Marriott, I imagine. So disappointment for Fletcher there. neither of the incidents were really his faults either. Styx has spent this entire race behind Gafenki, this entire second stint behind Gafenki. By the way, apologies if we're showing Styx a bit excessively. Our producer Dennis Branch is bound to show quite a bit of it. Styx. Branch. Styx.
Oh, very good. Sorry, you did have to explain it to me. Now that's nothing against your joke, Sam. It's just my intelligence level. That's all. That's very good.
Well,
I like that.
there was never any question that the joke was a.
Yeah, you could say that
10 out of 10.
he's stalking Gavencu in a menacing fashion right now, and that's why Dennis would keep an eye on him.
I wonder if Styx might actually be barking up the wrong tree. He's trying to go for that move. Fletcher's got a drive through for accessing the instant limit. So, Jesus, basically all rubbish fun now, isn't it? And 2 of those instants, 8 of those instants would have been 4x's, which weren't his fault. So, unlucky. He gets 16, by the way, so that's half of his just used up. Okay, in 2 goes. So.
That is, that's far from ideal, especially with just 5 minutes remaining in the race. And actually, it was unlucky because both Fletcher and Arends both had kind of the same mistake, and they sort of checked up into each other. So there was no malice in it, but it's of course it is over. That would only give 4 incident points. Of course, you get 1 for stepping over track limits, 2 for a spin, and 4 for contact with another driver. And well, of course, here at Monza you can rack them up pretty well, though. Just little one here, little one there, and they do add up.
Yeah, there's a few bad spaces. Certainly remember in the Radical SR8, you had to use them tactically a bit like a spa, where through the Lesmos, you can just extend the circuit that little bit more. It's nice to leave them to the last lap for you to use, but it's very tempting to just go over the limits. By the way, Kelleher still at the top of the amateur category. We haven't really talked about the amateur category too much. Hasn't been too tight for the lead on the most part. Collignon was over 20 seconds behind Kelleher at one point, but he's been able to get the gap down to 9 seconds. So Kelleher will take a very well-deserved victory. Collignon losing 40 seconds in the pit stop time. So he'll definitely be promoted to pro after this terrific performance from the French driver. But we'll just fall short of making up that entire 40-second gap, as that is Engel losing a place then to Antonio. Antonio was further up earlier on, wasn't he? But then he had a problem. I can't exactly remember what that problem was, but he certainly did have a problem. But he's very slow down the straights here, and he's having to defend, and this is where waiting behind, being courteous, working as a team, goes out the window. You just want to check position at this point.
Yeah, this is where you just want to try and just get it home at this stage. It's been a long race, nearly, and we're just coming up to the end now, about a minute and a half to go. So this is not where you want to get involved in any kind of silly incidents. The Longs Championship, 9 races, and so this is where the points count. Now, it looked for a minute there, Sam, that Gavencu and Styx were actually closing down Anger, but it's just stretched back a little bit as we come on to the last lap of the race. Are they close enough? Well, about 1.1 seconds. I tell you what, any issue with traffic and getting Anger might be in trouble here, actually.
It's fairly tricky to make a move into Parabolica, which will be good news for Anger. But yeah, I think 2 more laps would have been there. I wonder if Styx was ahead of Gafenki with their caught up. I don't think they would have done, but Styx has been seemingly very happy to actually stay behind Gafenki for this second stint. Though initially, at least, Styx was faster, but the fact that he hasn't been able to fashion an attempt at a lead maybe indicates that Gafenki had it covered all the way. Here comes Winkler again. Apologies, this is this is Winkler. Apologies, I was getting confused with Engel anyway. He's up into 14th. Ooh, Engel in the background also making up a move, so good corner there for Sim Racing. And Hereford is right with these guys. Well, all of a sudden, Hereford gained a bunch of time that last lap. He gained a second on these drivers, and now the BMW might be storming through. into 17th place. He's on the outside, he's a little bit boxed in here, keeps his car alongside. They do brilliantly not to make contact by running onto the gravel there. Poor exit did Antonio. Kevin did make that move, but out of the lead, it is all Anne-Marie Monjul.
It really is. This has been an absolutely flawless performance from the Valkyrie Esport driver. Anne-Marie Bonjour is your winner here in round 1 of season 2 of the Apex Racing League GT Trophy. Your defending champion Gaten Anger for Lamborghini comes home in second, with Gavenku third, making it 2 Lamborghinis on the podium. Might not have got odds on that one before the race, with Pascal Stix coming in fourth, with Sven Newman rounding out your top 5. Wow. Well, that was just... You've got to think that Rosens, he might have had the pace in qualifying, but Bonjour, the guy who delivered on the race day.
Yeah, we're about to have the winner of the amateur category also reach the line. Callagher, who is just 7 seconds now ahead of Collignon. Oh, we've had a crash right at the end. Who is that? Could have been Caragiet? No, it's got to be someone who's stationing Pedrero. But it's no problem for Callagher. He's going to win the amateur category regardless. Here he comes to the line. And it is the Spaniard. The superb race win. He gets it clean. It's a bit of a quiet end for him. He did the work when he needed to. Good result. Collignon finishes in 2nd place, but was undoubtedly the fastest amateur driver out there tonight. And Dabur will make it 2 French drivers on the podium, narrowly beating out Andrew Broom actually by just under a second. There's the race winner, Bonjour. Hopefully we'll have an interview with him in a little while. Yeah, really Valkyrie have put themselves up as the top team, I think, tonight. I mean, Anchor will always try to put up a fight against them, but yeah, they look ominously good to Valkyrie after this first round.
They do. Ominous is certainly the word. Bonjour was really absolutely mistake-free there, and yeah, deserved the victory 100%. I think when we see some different circuits, I think we could see this really dropping back and forth all the way through, and well, I think we're in for another all-season-long fight here in the ARL GT Trophy, and I, for one, cannot wait. Here's your results then. Anne-Marie Bonjour confirmed as your winner by 8.3 seconds from Gaten Anger. Richard Gavenku holding on for 3rd position from Pascal Stix, who chased him all the way there. Stix's teammate Sven Newman for Corsom Racing rounds out your top 5 with Maxime Marriott, Jonathan Poulet, Conan Wern, Brander Taboni and Thomas Arens rounding out your top 10. Mick Palich in 11th. And your AM class, Juan Manuel Calleja rounding out the AM runners, 6 seconds ahead of Corentin Collignon, and it's a story of what could have been. A pit lane penalty proving really costly indeed. Andrew Broom finishing out the AM class podium in 3rd with Manuel Wacker, Alan Hart, Vivian Daber, Phil Reagan, Aaron Smith, Marcus Geier and Dennis Meisner rounding out the top 10 in the AM class. Well, interesting, Sam, with 2 standout fastest drivers on 1 lap pace, but not the drivers coming into victory lane right now.
Yeah, and it's just weird, wasn't it? The pit lane entry was really where that race was decided in both classes. It's not really a big deal at Monza, is it? I mean, I think it's tricky to get down to the pit lane speed, isn't it? But it shouldn't be that tricky to get it over the line, which I believe was the issue for a couple of the front runners. So, yeah, odd situation right there. By the way, shout out to another one of our sponsors, Apex Racing Academy, who provide 29 data packs on road racing and also rallycross racing as well. And in those data packs, you get track guides, setups, weekly group coaching sessions, and it's also integrated with VRS, so you can use the VRS data analysis software in order to on all of your Apex Racing Academy stuff. Also, one of the best features about Apex Racing Academy is all the setups are downloaded. In fact, all the information is downloaded straight into your file directory. So once you load into the iRacing session, you don't need to bother going to the websites and downloading the setups and putting them into your files. You load into the session, they're there by magic. So that's a terrific part of Apex Racing Academy. It saves you a lot of time and it's a bit of a less of a nuisance as well. So do check out Apex Racing Academy for some of the best driver coaching in iRacing as we are waiting for some interviews. But at the moment, we've not got any interviews. However, I can say the next round of the championship is going to be Hockenheim, which I'm not sure if you've done a
Ooh.
race, a commentary round, Peter. Have you commentated there yet?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have indeed. And I've done quite a bit of racing on it so far since it came onto the iRacing service about what was it, about 6 or 7 weeks ago now. And it is, I tell you what, it's a brilliant track for racing. Good overtaking opportunities, particularly down into the hairpin. I think maybe turn four, I think it is. Really good overtaking opportunity there, and also there's a few bits and pieces in this coming into the stadium section as well. So I think we will see. It's. I tell you what, it's going to be Lamborghini country. I think. I think it will really suit Gaten Anger and his Lamborghini, and it will really even the playing field between him and the Valkyrie Esports guys. So delighted we're going to Hockenheim. It's not a circuit that everyone kind of swoons over, but actually when you drive it, it's a really good circuit for proper wheel to wheel racing. We should send the Mazdas there. It'd be an absolute chaos.
I wasn't totally convinced by Hockenheim
Mhm.
when it was announced, because I think it's been real overhyped. The fact that it's had like two good F1 races in the last 20 years, and now people think it's like the best track in the world. The actual circuit, in my opinion, isn't amazing. However, on iRacing, I have really enjoyed it. I think it's been quite a bit of fun. I think the stadium section, I knew the stadium section was the one bit I thought was going to be good, and it is really good. But the whole circuit is just fun to drive. And as you say, it's a real good kind of modern facility for racing. The hairpin on lap one is a bit carnage inducing, so I fear that one a bit, but
Mm.
it should still be good once we get into the rhythm of things. It should be, very entertaining should that round of the championship.
Carnage inducing. Yes, that you don't really need to look that one up in the dictionary. That exactly what what it says on the tin. I think it'll be super to go to Hockenheim as well. Now I wonder if we've said something to upset the driver, Sam, because nobody's coming in for a chat with us at this moment in time.
There are no Scottish drivers, were there? And you know what
Not to
they're
my
like,
knowledge.
you know?
Yeah, we hang on to things.
Yeah. Um, so not sure, not sure. Anyone watching this back, by the way, come have a chat with us. There's a link in the description below to the Apex Racing TV Discord channel. And then if you click on that, you will be in the Discord. And then you can jump in the interview waiting area. And then once the race is complete, we will drag you up, have a chat with you. Doesn't matter where you finished. You know, we like to learn about the series, we like to learn about the cars. And I'm sure there's a narrative that we haven't been able to show on screen that you'll be able to tell us about. So do certainly do that for future rounds of the championship.
Now, while we have a moment, while we wait for some of the drivers to come and speak to us, Sam, we do have a request again from Luke at Porsche Sport. We did this on the podcast earlier. Your three drivers that you would put in your LMDH Porsche, or really any endurance racing car. You've won the lottery. You thought I'm going to go to a big endurance race and I'm going to fill it with three drivers. Who are the three drivers you put in that car?
Or myself,
Of
obviously.
course,
I mean,
BSR World Series Radical Champion. I mean, who else?
yeah, I mean, if I could, I would be the only driver because the other guys are just going to weigh me down. So I see you said that. You gotta say yourself, haven't you? Or is that
No.
quite a self-centered thing to say? Is that only what quite quite horrible people say? Um,
Even use that description, I would say that Hurley Haywood, Scott Dixon, and Hurley Haywood, Scott Dixon, and who was my third one again? I've forgotten now. And Ricky Taylor would do a better job than me. I'd probably do a good job of sitting on the pit wall with a beer, watching it all go on,
I
watching
would
the
certainly
tech go round.
I'd certainly have Mr. Hulkenberg for my choice. By the way, I'm
Gosh,
not a proper sports car fan, so I can't say too much on that regard. And
I think
maybe
washed
Nick
up F1
Heidfeld.
driver. Yeah, there you go.
I'd probably have Nick Heidfeld. I don't think he's won a race in like 25 years or something. So, or maybe that's just a single seat race. He may have won in sports cars. I'm not sure, but I'd like him to win a race finally. And even though I think he might be retired, I still have him.
And then you could have Nick Tandy, so you could have once, twice, three times a Nick. It could be your teammate, or
Yeah.
your Nick could be it could be the team. Before we put ourselves any further down this rabbit hole, Sam, I'm going to hand you over to Mr. Colbeck Porsche, runner-up of ARL GT and running in a Mercedes today in the ARL GT Trophy. Daniel Lee is with Sam Fitzpatrick.
Yes, welcome, Danny, to the commentary box. Thanks for having a chat with us because we were having a chat with one another, and it was going bad. Let's face it. So thanks for joining us. Um, how have you found these GT3 cars? I mean, you've raced in the World GT in the past, so you've got plenty of experience in these machines. But was it still a little bit, weird for the first time racing in Apex Racing League events in these cars?
Well, the one thing I'd say is if the field is equally strong, if not stronger. That's a really, really good thing. It means that every single race is going to be really, really packed tightly, especially at the start. Sadly, I didn't really get a representative showing on this one. I found the clumsy one, and it happened that we tripped over each other. He decided to go via skate road while I was still on his outside, so that got me tangled in. Qualifying wasn't exactly on fire, but the Merc, generally speaking, I know we're in a minority, but it's not too good for qualifying, but it's brilliant in the race. You can get, if you get behind somebody, if you're within half a tenth, you've got as good a chance of overtaking as anyone else. I don't think you would have that experience in, say, well, it used to be the Ferrari that always used to be rubbish at overtaking in World GT, but I didn't want to make that mistake again. So that's why we've picked that particular car. But the racing was great. It was fun working my way back up to 20th overall after being dead last. I'm hoping next round will be much better for all the right reasons. No incidents at the start, and then we can really see what it can do.
We see that you're now racing for Performance Link car parts. I mean, how did you join up with Performance Link, who of course you've raced against in the Apex Racing League GT Championship for a couple of seasons?
Well, we were a late entry into the GT Trophy. I think we just decided on a whim on Wednesday. Obviously, we've got ARL GT withdrawal. Saw it, saw the spots, and took it. And you know me, I don't like to race under a blank banner. I want to join up with somebody. And Performance Link actually is a really enticing team to sort of pair up with. We've obviously raced together alongside in ARL GT. I know we can coexist fine on track. They know how to race. And being as Performance Link is involved in real life motorsport in some form with their performance car parts, it's what they do. Just seemed like a right mix. So shod the car with a new livery, took it to the track, and now we operate as a satellite team to the main team of Tom Bingham and Andrew Broom.
Awesome. Yeah, so it certainly seemed to go well for you tonight. And next up, we've got Hockenheim. What's your thoughts on that race, on that track? Have you raced around there before?
Looking forward to it. I've not done any official races there yet, but I enjoy the track. It's a brilliant addition to the lineup. I'm not too sure we'll have the same kind of overtaking potential there because there's not quite so long a straight around every bend. There is the one, but it should be a bit more stimulating than Monza. I do love Monza, but when you're by yourself, there's not much going on. So hopefully I can stick it up there in quali and stay with the lead pack, and we'll see a lot more reasonable action there.
Well, we wish you the best of luck for that one, Danny. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Obviously, Performance Link, thanks to them for accepting us with open arms. Good bunch. Don't forget, check out their site, performancelink.direct, to see what they do. I didn't know what they do until I joined them, and I was quite surprised. I don't know how I missed them all this time. So shout out to them. Shout out to you guys for the broadcast and the league, and for the grid for being, really good. For round one, there wasn't that much black eyes going around, so it looks set to be a really good season. So shout out to them, and I'll leave you guys to talk amongst yourselves again.
Well, yeah.
If you want.
I guess everything's got to end, hasn't it? So
yeah,
we'll end this interview here, Danny, and we hope to see you back a little bit further up the grid next week.
Yeah, me too. Thank you very much, chaps.
Danny Lee there, finishing in 20th position overall tonight. And of course, third place in the Apex Racing League GT Championship in the GTE cars. Against a similar strength of field. So I expect him to, I think, improve as the season's gone on.
I think he will. The one thing about Danny is he really does work hard at it and chips away with it at the performance in a really methodical way. And it's always nice to hear Danny's feedback on his day's racing. Well, that is all we have time for tonight here on Apex Racing TV. We hope you enjoyed this first round of this brand new season of the Apex Racing League GT Trophy. Myself and Sam Fitzpatrick will be back same time next Tuesday, 7 p.m. GMT for round 2 from Hockentime. See you there.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong,
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
and many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.